what's going on inside. Think about this. A comprehensive eye exam can be an early detector of serious health problems like high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. Shouldn't you see your eye doctor yearly? Go to thinkaboutyoureyes.com to learn more and for a list of local eye doctors. It could help save more than your vision.
Timmy, man, I'm popping with good vibes because the PIC TV network is on Roku with free channels. I want everybody to help my bro David Evans and PIC get it love. Y'all, it's your boy Ro Timmy, man. I'm popping with good vibes because the PIC TV network is on Roku with free channels. I want everybody to help my bro David Evans and PIC get it love.
Hey everybody, this is David Evans from Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. Listen, there's so many people been waiting for the Prison Freedom Show to pop back on. Well, the wait is over, and I'm going to bring in Brother O. Brother O, we are here today once again. Prison Freedom Show, award-winning Prison Freedom Show is on Pick TV Network right now, and I want to say thank you, man, for having a special host on for us on tonight, man. It's going to be one of the biggest nights on Pick TV Network for the Prison Freedom Show. How you doing, man, over the holidays, Brother O?
Oh, man, I'm doing well. Well rested. I really enjoyed my holiday season. I really didn't do much, as far as getting out, but that was a good thing for me because I needed a time to be able to recharge and things like that. So I'm doing very well.
Man, thank you, man. We have some special guests on with us tonight. You got a special guest on Put It Down tonight. You're going to take us all, man, from some level of education. I also got Brother Rodney. We're going to be back in the studio lounge chilling while you do this interview, and then we'll come back in. But right now, let's get down to business. Come on, Brother O, it's all on you.
All right. Thank you. So my name is Orion Meadows, and this is the Prison Freedom Program. I'm coming to you live from Chicago, Illinois, and today I have a special guest with me, Mr. Malana Modibo Iyusi, and he's going to tell you about his story. I think that it's one that will be intriguing, thought-provoking, and inspirational, all in one. So without further ado, I give you Mr. Malana Modibo Iusi. And sir, would you go ahead and tell them about who you are and where you're from?
Well, as you say, my name is Malana Modibo Iusi. I was born and raised here in Chicago. Grew up in the infamous Inglewood district, one of the districts where a lot of the violence and whatnot is transpiring on a daily basis. I was born on 35th and Calumet. In 1960, my mother moved to Inglewood, and I've been a product of Inglewood since. Grew up in the ghetto community in Chicago, poor, and with a lot of the gang leaders and chiefs, and never was plugged myself, never was any of the gangs, but I grew up with a lot of the gang leaders. Went to school with them, slept with them, ate with them, fought with them, but was never plugged myself. My story, I recently came on off the plantation. For those who understand, I talk about the plantation, I'm talking about prison. I refer to it as the plantations, America's New Plantation. I did 44 years on the plantation. Went to prison illiterate, couldn't read, couldn't write, couldn't think, and wouldn't listen. Learned how to read and write in a prison here in Illinois called Stateville Correctional Center. But the truly sad thing about me learning how to read and write, I didn't know that I was illiterate. I know a lot of people might ask and say, well, how can a person not know he was illiterate? Well, I labored under the mistaken notion and belief that because we are born human beings, we automatically know how to read and write. I didn't learn until later that reading and writing was a process. And I went through that process while incarcerated in the Stateville Correctional Center. But when I tell you that I did not know I couldn't read and write, I'm being honest with you, because I thought because I was born a human being, I was able to, that I knew how to read and write. So I vividly recall when I was made aware of the fact that I was illiterate. A Muslim brother by the name of Thomas Cooper, his Muslim name was Brother Bay. And he asked me, could I read and write? And I told him, yes, I could read and write. And I was being honest with the brother because I actually thought I could read and write. And so he asked me to read something, and I called myself reading it. He asked me to write something. I called myself writing it. And the brother put in my ear and gave me the N-word. Told me, he said, nigga, you can't read. And, you know, in my neighborhood, the N-word and you know, fighting. But because I respected the brother, I listened to what he had to say. And so when he told me that I couldn't read and write, and he asked me to read what I call myself writing, and I couldn't even read that. And so him and the other Muslim brother took it personally that I couldn't read and write because I had a reputation for fighting the correctional officers. And so the brother, each one of the brothers put a lesson plan together for me. And each one of them taught me different things. One taught me English, one taught me how to write, one taught me math, one taught me, they taught me some everything. So when I learned how to read several years later, I learned how to read well. The brothers tended 2 books for me to read. One was the autobiography of Malcolm X, and the other book was Education of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. And so, by me being a fan of Brother Malcolm, I read that book first. And then I read Miss Education of the Negro second. But I kept reading these books over and over, because every time I read them, I got a different understanding, a better understanding than I got the first time. And so, what I did in Carter G. Woodson's book, he tells that the great philosophers of the past conceded a long time ago that we have 2 kinds of education. That education was given to us, and that education we give ourselves. Brother Woodson said that the education we give ourselves is more nourishing to our minds than the education which is given to us. Well, that didn't make a lot of sense to me initially, the 2 kinds of education. But as I continue to read and grow and expand my knowledge and my understanding, then it made a lot of sense to me. But so as I slowly educated myself with the help of these brothers, I read a lot of books. I read what I call Holloway House books, fiction books, Iceberg, Slim Dog, The Death, Mercy, Execution. So these books helped my interest, my attention. They was provocative, And so I learned how to spell, I enhanced my vocabulary, and the brothers taught me that we have 3 types of vocabularies: the reading, writing, and speaking vocabularies. And that made a lot of sense to me years later.
Right.
So as I began to grow and expand, as I transitioned, as I slowly was calling back from the grave, what happened in 1987, they had a riot in a prison here in Illinois called Pontiac.
What year? Wait, what year was that? What year?
July the 22nd, 1980. July the 22nd, 1978. They had a riot here in Pontiac, a prison in Pontiac here with 7 guards was hit, 4 lived and 3 died. And so they locked the joint down for several years. And during the lockdown, I was sent out as one of the people to be dealt with. So I stayed locked down from July the 22nd, 1978 to August 8, 1982. On May the 25th, 1982, I was transferred to a prison here in Illinois called the Menard Correctional Center, which is in the southern part of Illinois, close to St. Louis. And so I stayed in Menard from May the 25th, 1982 to August 8, 1980. Stayed in Menard from May the 25th, 1982 until August 8, 1982. On August 8, 1982, they told me to pack my property. I'm being transferred. So I asked them whether I'm being transferred to. They told me they couldn't tell me. So I refused to come out the cell. So they got suited and booted, coming in and drug me out the cell, took me to an airport in southern Illinois. And because of me acting a fool, fighting the police, kicking and biting and whatever, the 2 pilots told them they couldn't put me on the plane behaving the way I was behaving because the plane was too small and I crashed the plane. So I laid on the tarmac for about 2 hours. And the doctors came from a nod. They pounced on me, pulled my pants down, shot me with something. When I came to 2 days later, I was in the federal prison in Leavenworth, Kansas, United States Penitentiary, Leavenworth. And so I did last of my sentence in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Initially, when they put me in the transferred me to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, I thought they did me a disservice. But after a while, I realized they had really done me a favor. And the reason I say that, because had I stayed in the Illinois Department of Correction, I'd still be locked up because I had a 60 to 90 year sentence. And so to get me into the Bureau of Prisons, they kind of like I was a gang leader, gang member. I was a gang leader in the Black Gangster Snipers and the Air Rookins, and never been plugged in my life. So anyway, they kept me locked up for about 40, 50 days. Captain Smith, I asked to write the counselor in Menard. He'll tell you I'm not a gang member, not a gang leader. So he did. He wrote him, got a letter back, called me down to his office, showed me the letter he got back, told me to go pack my stuff up and let me on the compound. As soon as I get to the compound, I called my trial attorney and begged him to get me back into the system at IDOC. He told me, he said, look, give it 6 months. If you don't like it, is 6 months, call me back, get you back in the system. Well, since I seen I wasn't locked up like I was in the IDOC, they could say transfers and all that, I decided to stay in the Federal Bureau of Prison and educate myself, go to school. So, as I said, I went to prison illiterate, couldn't read and couldn't write. But I learned how to read and write and spell. In 1980, December 82, I took a GED test, passed the GED test. February 83, I got the results back, I passed the test. In May of 83, I enrolled in the Kansas City, Kansas Community College program. In July of 1985, I got my first college degree. I got an associate degree in liberal arts. So I continued to go to school. I also enrolled in the vocational training program in cabinet making. So I'm going to college, going to vocational school at the same time. So I ended up earning a second associate's degree, got an AS degree in business management and I got a third degree. I got a bachelor's degree with a double major, business management, accounting, lauding. Graduated with honors college. I was on the dean's list and never got off until I graduated, got my bachelor's degree. And so I'm working, going to vocational, also tutoring and teaching other prisoners, helping them prepare for their GED, helping them prepare for their associate's degrees. And I end up academic and vocational. I accomplished a lot. I got my overhead crane operating license. I was licensed by the state of Pennsylvania as a pest control applicator. I got my journeyman certification as a cabinet maker, HVAC tech. I completed the HVAC program.
All right. So when you say HVAC, for those that don't know what HVAC is,
heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration.
All right.
And academic vocation, I accomplished a lot. I got out of everything I accomplished academic and vocational, what I'm most proud of is that I got my national certification in teaching literacy, teaching other people how to read and write. I maintain that certification to this day. since I've been home.
All right, we just we'll get to that. We don't want to fast forward too much. This is the Prison Freedom Program, live from Washington D.C. From Chicago, live from Washington D.C. to Chicago. I'm Orion Meadows, and I am with my special guest today, Mr. Lana Modibo Iusi, and we're going to go to a commercial break, and then we're going to come back. So thank you all for joining us, and return back just so that you can continue to hear this very intriguing and inspiring story from my colleague, Mr. Iusi.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Sid the Entertainer. I want y'all to check out Pick TV Network. That's right, Pick TV Network. They got 60 free channels on Roku. This is dope. They also started the brand new Coaching World channel at $9.89. So if you are a content provider, you are a young business with an opportunity to build a platform where you can have your own show, do some programming, check out Pick TV Network on Roku. They got over 60 free channels for you to check out and also grow a business. Go and see them now. See the content. See what they have to do. Learn something. Check them out. All right? Pick TV Network. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, hello, and happy holidays to everyone. Hey, I want to encourage you to watch and support the new Pick TV Network. It's a military channel on Roku. All you have to do is click and play www, the Pick TV Network. And by the way, great job to David Evans, the president. Hey, man, I encourage you, go do it now. And with that, time's yours.
Dr. Evans here back again from the Prison Freedom channel and show on. Brother O, before we bring our guests back up, man, I am so proud of you. Man, you brought on so many people, Benny and others who've been on the network who showcased what they are doing outside of the four walls from prison to freedom. I want to thank you, man, because this has to be one of the top shows of the year. My brother had 44 years. Now he's coming back, getting on his feet, gets his degrees. Man, I'm so proud of him, man. It's just amazing, you know. So I'm going to get it back to you, man. And I know Brother Freeman wants to come and say something, man. Brother Freeman, man, when you hear about our brother today doing so many wonderful things, man, I'm so honored, man, when I see him coming out. His life story should be a movie. You know what I'm saying? And maybe because you're the DC Motown of the music department, man, maybe you could get him on. But man, I mean, how did you get him on, brother? This brother's he has a life story, man.
Well, actually, he like you said, he got out of prison like in 2020. So what happened? Excuse me, pardon me, guys. So what happened was I had just recently gotten out last year, and I met him through Professor Benny Lee. Then we were actually in Professor Lee's backyard, and he was telling me his story. And then I hadn't seen him in a while, and I ended up actually seeing him at the Institute for Nonviolence Chicago. I was seeing him occasionally here and there, and you had actually attended one before, Dr. Evans, the NAFI reentry circle that we have every Saturday. And I was seeing him there sometimes when he was able to attend, but I wasn't able to see him in person again for a while. And then I ended up seeing him at the Institute for Nonviolence Chicago. And, we began to, start connecting again. But I just, a couple of days ago, I reached out to him and we were just talking. And then he was just, telling me about certain things that were going on. I felt like it was just important to have him come here on the Prison Freedom Program and tell him about his story. And as I said, there are some more things that we want to talk about, touch bases on. But I wanted him to talk about when he first went in, being illiterate. Because a lot of us here, and this is what I realized when I went to prison, I didn't know, I had heard of people being illiterate, but I didn't know anyone who was illiterate. I may have been around people who were illiterate, because now that I know, people have a good way of masking it. And in his case, he didn't even consider himself as being illiterate. I actually for the first time, I met someone who was illiterate, that I knew was illiterate. Like I said, I may have been around illiterate people all that time, but you just don't go around and ask people that they're illiterate, right? So from my own experience, I may have been in prison maybe 6 months. I came across a guy and he asked me to write a letter to his daughter. Now, keep in mind, his daughter was maybe like a year and a half younger than myself. And he was telling me that he was concerned about her because she was about to graduate from high school. And, she had a boyfriend talking about living with her, blah, blah, blah. So he wanted me to write the letter for him to her. And that was like my first encounter with someone being illiterate. So I couldn't fathom even, existing in society being illiterate, right? And we take that for granted, a lot of us who are literate, our ability to be able to read and write out here navigating throughout society. So just for a person to even go from that, that's an obstacle. And what I want to talk about, because we had touched on this before, was that the difficulty, first of all, because I know your story, with all the time that you had, right? You went in prison before I was even born. With all that time ahead of you, how hard it was for you to continue to, have the attitude that you wanted to keep accomplishing things. Tell us about that. But then also, because you and I know, we both know this, besides the administration, the staff in there antagonizing you, your own peers, meaning the people who are incarcerated, how was that for you having your own peers that were around you who were saying discouraging things about you having a positive attitude towards attaining your education.
I can tell you, it take years for me to tell you the stories about how I was ridiculed and made mockery of by my peers. In fact, I got more opposition from the side that I was supposed to be on. Did the opposite, the administration. They made mockery of me, telling me that I was wasting my time going to school, getting a white man education, that I was I'm getting college degrees, that I would never be able to lose, that don't nobody care nothing about a guy getting a college degree in prison and what. And that deterred me and discouraged me. In fact, the criticism and the mockery just egged me on. Excuse me. And so, but at the same time that I was educating myself and rid myself of my enormous ignorance, I was also helping other prisoners, because the brothers that taught me how to read and write, they freely gave me the gift of literacy. And they asked me to just take what they gave me and pass it on. So that's what I was doing, educating myself, rid myself of my enormous ignorance, and at the same time, passing on the gift of literacy that they freely gave me. I ran into a lot of brothers on the plantation, like I was initially, that was illiterate or functional illiterate. And so I shared my story with them, and I told them what the brothers told me, that ain't nothing wrong with being ignorant, ain't nothing wrong with being uneducated, ain't nothing wrong with being illiterate. What's wrong with being illiterate? What's wrong with being uneducated? What's wrong with being ignorant is not doing nothing about it. And so they understood that. And so they quit masking, hide their illiteracy or their functional illiteracy, because they knew that I was going to work with them and I wasn't going to criticize them and make mockery of them, And so I helped a lot of brothers on the plantation learn how to read and write. I helped a lot of brothers earn their GEDs and college degrees once I was able to share my experience with them. And but the truly sad thing, and I think about this all the time, that how did I make it my 30s not knowing how to read and write? But in my neighborhood, we had an old saying that you don't need no education to make money. And so that's how I roll. Like I say, I didn't know I was illiterate. So, my thing once.
Now, I was just thinking, as you were just sharing that, they actually there's a publication called True Leap Press, and it's in Chicago, but it's also in Ithaca, Ithaca, New York. And they had something in one of their publications called, they were talking about the Black radical liberationist, basically, right? Or tradition. That's what it's called, the Black radical liberation tradition. And it reminds me of that, what they were talking about, because and it's actually pertinent to even the title of this program, Prison Freedom, because just like during the times when people were on the plantation, you had those who ended up attaining their freedom, and then they ended up going back or finding ways to be able to try to help others who were enslaved, right? And so in that sense, that's what you were doing, because we know that being when you're incarcerated and then you have been indoctrinated into a certain type of a way of life, then now you are in bondage. And a lot of our people are in bondage way before they end up even in the Department of Corrections. So what you help to liberate them. As Malcolm X said, it travel broadens the mind. And so you were able to take them out, allow them to travel beyond the confines of where they were in bondage by educating them. And so you, in this sense, you were kind of like carrying on what they had called in the True Leap Press publication, the Black Radical Liberation tradition. And they had named some of the people you were talking about, George Jackson and so forth.
Well, I discovered that, I met a lot of brothers on the plantation that they wanted to learn how to read and write. Like a lot of us gang leaders, shot callers, but they was afraid to let people know that they could read and write. One of the biggest gang leaders here, in fact, two of the biggest gang leaders here in Chicago, when they landed on the plantation, it was like I was illiterate. One of them did something about it. The other one, he's doing something about it, but he ain't there yet. And I tutored the one I'm talking about on several occasions. Every time we was in the joint together, I tutored them. But I figured that if I can accomplish all the things I accomplished academically and vocationally, that and coming from where I came from, that a person that had an advantage on me that could read and write, he can excel. And so I would always use my story to inspire and motivate the brothers that was willing to listen and my lead. And they academically they accomplished a lot. Several of the brothers, in fact, there's one brother named Benjamin Brown. He's working on his PhD now. Excuse me. So, each one teach one. That's the story. That's how I roll. And so I think that it's important that for those of us who are literate, to teach those or to share our experience with those brothers who are illiterate or functional illiterate. But we got to do it in a certain way, though, because a lot of brothers try to hide or mask their ignorance, illiteracy, because they're afraid to let people know they can't read it right. I didn't have that problem.
Right.
When their brothers told me that I was illiterate, that I couldn't read it right, I accepted what they told me, and the lesson plans they put together for me, I rolled with them.
So, for the people who have incarcerated, right, and especially who have not had to face as much time as you have, could you take us through how it feels to be in there with all that time, right? And it's a daily thing, no matter where you are, right? Everybody's going to have moments when their mind is going to start getting at them, playing tricks with them. Self-doubt kicks in sometimes. And then, just it's part of life, the ups and downs, but especially when you're in a place as dismal as where you were. How difficult was it for you to continue knowing that your out date was very, very far? from the, how difficult was that? Could you paint that?
Well, actually, to be honest with you, in a sense, I had given up. When I say giving up, that the reason I was put out of the IDOC and transferred into the Federal Bureau of Prisons was because of my behavior, my attitude. I figured I got 90 years. I'm going to do that 90-year sentence the way I want to do it, not the way somebody tell me to do it. So in the IDOC, I was accused of it all, inciting riots, taking guards hostage, assaulting guards, slapping the ward, kicking the captain in the butt, because I'm not going to get out of prison. So that's the way I'm feeling at this time. And so in a sense, I had kind of given up. But what changed my attitude, what changed my lack of hope into hope is when the IDOC shot me full of dope and transferred me to the Federal Bureau of Prison. That's when it dawned on me that I had a chance, because in the Federal Bureau of Prison, they didn't treat me like they treated me in the IDOC. I wasn't locked up. I wasn't being transferred from SEG to SEG. I wasn't given what they call diesel therapy. So I made up my mind that I was going to chill, go to school, since I got a chance to educate myself, go to school, educate myself. And so that's what I did up until I had bumped heads. I was still kind of rebellious when I got in the Federal Bureau of Prison, because I ended up going to both Supermax prisons and Federal Bureau of Prison. Marion, Illinois here, and the Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado. I did 3 years in Marion, I did 15 years in the Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado. And what I went to the Supermax prison for in Florence, Colorado, was attempted murder of a federal correction officer. And prior to disciplining this particular officer, I had told myself I was going to go back to court and plead guilty to 10 years less if I can get it. But when I dodged the bullet, so to speak, when they didn't indict me, when the U.S. attorney recommended that whatever they was going to do to me, they had to do it administratively, that's when I decided I was going to chill and go home. So while in the Supermax prison, I read books, wrote people all over the world, Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, you name them, I wrote them. And so when I was released from the Supermax prison to other federal correctional, other institutions, United States penitentiaries, the first thing I did when I got to the institutions, I worked in the education department, tutoring, teaching other prisoners, because that's what I prepared myself to do, to give back. It wasn't, for me, it wasn't at all that difficult to make that transition, because, I done met some brothers in the IDOC who didn't really help me really get myself together. They helped me see myself in perspective. They helped me see myself in relationship with other men in the world. Excuse me. So I slowly crawled back from the grave. Once I crawled back from the grave, I took my great leap forward. And so all the opposition that I received from the people, the side I was supposed to be on, I used that as a motivated and inspiration force, because I know the other side what really interested I was doing, and that if they could bar me from impede my progress, then they would. But I didn't allow that. See, I didn't, even though once I dodged the bullet, didn't get indicted, I decided at that point I was going home. So I started compelling myself to accept all the bigotry and racism that they heaped at me. And so, and believe me, in this Federal Supermax prison, the racism and the bigotry is thick. You had guards and lieutenants there that would put shackles on, handcuff you, and bring you out the cell and put the smack down on you, simply because you was a brother,
right?
Because you was black.
And
but
everyone, pardon me. So I just wanted everybody to know that they're watching the Prison Freedom program right here on the PIC TV network. My name is Orion Meadows, and I am with my special guest for today, Maulana Modibo Iusi. He had a 90-year sentence. He served 44 years. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to a commercial break soon. But what I want to, I definitely want to continue talking about your transformation, right? Because, I understand like some of the things that you're talking about and some of the circumstances that you were under. But I want to go to this commercial break first, and then we'll talk about the transition, right? That moment when you had that shift as far as your attitude was concerned and what you were going to do. But then also we're going to come back and we're going to have words from Dr. Evans and Brother Rodney Freeman. And then we want to bring them up to speed with what you're doing right now. So we're going to go to this commercial break, everybody. Come back. I'm Orion Meadows. This is the Prison Freedom Program right here on the PIC TV network.
Yes, you can achieve a college education right here in your own community. Harcum College's ACE program at the Deliverance Evangelistic Church offers associate degree programs that can help you land a good job and improve your quality of life.
I like Harcum and Debbie because I can continue my education.
The teachers are great. The atmosphere is great.
It's all possible through iLead and Harcum.
Call now or check out our Facebook page at Harcum College at Deliverance Evangelistic Church.
They say your eyes are the windows to the soul. They're also the windows to your health because they let eye doctors see what's going on inside. Think about this. A comprehensive eye exam can be an early detector of serious health problems like high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. Shouldn't you see your eye doctor yearly? Go to thinkaboutyoureyes.com to learn more and for a list of local eye doctors. It could help save more than your vision.
Hello, America. We're watching the Prison Freedom Channel from Washington, D.C. to Ohio. Brother O, again, we have one of the greatest shows on, man. I want you to know, man, you got an award, man. The Prison Freedom Channel, man, is an award-winning show. Y'all see that out there? This is the #1 award-winning show on PIC TV Network. And it's all because of this dude right here from Chicago. This is his award for doing so many great shows with Big Benny on, brothers like we have on now, the gangster from Jerusalem. But this one, 90 years sentence, and to come back from being not able to read to getting degrees to helping people, man. This is amazing, Brother O, and I want to thank you, man. And I know Brother Freeman wants to say something too, man, before we close out this segment. We got about another 15 minutes. But, man, I want to applaud you. You know, one of the best shows we ever had. One of the best shows we ever had. And this is amazing.
Okay, yeah. So thank you, Dr. Evans. I appreciate the recognition. This is what this is about. Because what we want to do is we want to control the narrative. You know, there are a lot of stigmas and stereotypes and all types of images depicting the prison experience and about people who are formerly incarcerated and those that are still presently incarcerated. And a lot of that is exaggerated. It's greatly embellished. And also what we want to do, though, is we want to inspire people. We want to inspire people who are in prison, you know, to strive towards excellence, regardless, you know, maintain your dignity as a human being, regardless of the circumstances, even though we know that it is very difficult. And that's because that's what they want to do. You know, I tell people this all the time. Prisons, places of bondage are meant to break the human spirit. That's what they are for, whether the person that is in bondage, whether the person actually committed the crime, or whether the person might be a person that's rebelling against an unjust system, such as a Nelson Mandela. When they talk about rehabilitation, right, the concept of rehabilitation is basically breaking you from a certain type of behavior and mindset that they feel is adverse or antagonistic to a particular regime. Now, if you're a criminal, right, if you're a person that's a lawbreaker, then they feel like you are a threat to society. So they want to break your behavior, your mindset, so that you will no longer be a threat to society. Right. And if like I know that you can appreciate this, brother Modibo, because Malcolm X always talked about etymology. And so if you look at the word penitentiary and you break it down and you go to the root of it, it means basically penance, to show regret or sorrow for something. And so they want to, if you are a lawbreaker, as I said, right, they want to break you so that then you know that you change your pattern of behavior and thinking, right? But on the other hand, even if you are fighting against an unjust regime, then you still consider an enemy, and they want to break you from rebelling against that regime that is unjust. So either way it goes is to try to break your spirit and dignity as a human being. So I want to talk about, before we went to the commercial break, though, because I understand the circumstances. You went from actually possibly being prosecuted, which would have added on more time, to having that, as you said, that break when you dodged the bullet. And that was the moment when you decided that you were not just going to react no matter what happened. You were just going to go ahead and you were going to take it because you felt like your liberty. You saw that, hey, I have an opportunity to one day get out. And if I behave a certain way, if I, live my life a certain way, you saw the possibility, because we know in there, as well as I know, the things that occur in there. And then we saw people die in there, that it's not promised that you're going to get out, but you saw that you had an opportunity. And so you worked towards that regardless. You had that optimism. And so you felt like there was nothing that was going to deter you or cause you to do something that would lengthen the sentence that you already, or extend the sentence that you already had, because you had an opportunity to be able to get out early if you had good behavior. So I want you to talk about right now why you decided that you wanted to take up math why you had interest in mathematics, because we know that a lot of people out here, let alone in prison, don't embrace mathematics. They don't take on that challenge.
To me to do math, because like I said, when I initially went to college, I had an undeclared major, and my concentration was in psychology and sociology. My macro and microeconomics teacher happened to ask me one day, Simone, what you gonna do with a psych and social degree? And so I thought about it for a week. I said nothing. And I told him nothing. He said, well, why don't you think about changing your major? So I said, well, what do you suggest? He said, no, I'm gonna let you decide that. And so I religiously watched Oprah Winfrey. And Oprah Winfrey talked about how when she first got in the game, she was letting other people sign her checks, and how her accountants was keeping books for her and themselves, and how they was trimming, how they taking it off. She said, so if you start your own, at least learn something about accounting, learn how to read spreadsheets. So it was always my intention that I figured that I'm gonna be a certain age when I come home, and so possibly I can start my own business. And so I wanted to know something about accounting. So like I said, I went to school, got my first degree, undeclared major, so I got the liberal arts. So when I went and got my second degree, I declared a major. The major I declared was accounting and business management. So when I got my second degree, I majored in business management and got a minor in accounting. So when I continued to go to school and I got my BS degree, I got a double major. I got a major, I got business management / accounting. I got double major. So by me doing accounting, it's a ton of math you got to do. And so that's what inspired me and motivated me to do, to help people with math, because all my fellow students I went to school with complained about math. And so when I first got in college, I told the professor, said, look, man, I don't know about no algebra and geometry. So he asked me 4 questions. He said, can you multiply? I said, yes. He said, can you divide? I said, yes. Can you subtract? I said, yes. Can you add? I said, yes. He told me, well, you can do algebra and geometry then. So he stayed for the first month, about the first 6 weeks. He stayed after school tutoring me and other students in algebra and geometry. I think the second month, I became the tutor. I started tutoring students in algebra and geometry. That's how I caught on to it. And so every night, every day prior to the algebra and geometry class, everybody come to my cage and we'll sit down and we do they do their homework. I did my homework the same night I left school. And so that's how I got into math. I picked it up quick, and I wasn't afraid of it. So once you overcome that fear of something, then you can realize it. You can accomplish it. So I'm never afraid of math. When the professor showed me how to do algebra geometry, like I say, I took over where he left off. I started tutoring everybody,
So, and one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on this program was because we were talking. Now we just had a storm out here in Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you're 75 years old right now, and you shovel snow for like 8 hours, right?
No, 14.
Okay, so he shovels snow. Listen, everybody, the man 75, he shovels snow for 14 hours. The reason why he does that is because right now he doesn't have any full-time employment, and he has several degrees, right? Another thing, too, that I want to commend you for is the fact that he volunteers his services as a math teacher at the church, St. Leonard's Ministries.
Well,
Now,
actually, it's not a church. It's but right now, since I've been home, I've been St. Leonard's Ministries is a nonprofit organization that has its own, probably the only nonprofit in the state of Illinois, its own high school, where you get a regular high school diploma, not a GED, a regular high school diploma. Take the test, get into high school, 14 weeks. If you final, midterm, final, homework, and you graduate. We just had a big graduation week before last. So I tutor what is called core math for St. Leonard's Ministries, and I do it as a volunteer. Now, I had jobs since I've been home.
Right.
But
my point.
So they do background checks on them.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. That's my point. The background checks, and then the fact that a lot of times, people, they don't want to hire people who are, older, up in age, right? And so I wanted to talk about the barrier because, as you know, at NAFI, we talk about social disabilities. And so you are actually, even though you are qualified, and then you are being punished, one, because you are formerly incarcerated, and secondly, because of your age, even though you are able to perform a lot of these duties, these responsibilities. And so
and third because of my color.
And third because of color. And so I just wanted to talk about that for a moment, because these are the barriers that you are facing right now. But they're also, as we've talked about this, we have a lot of people who are out there living a particular lifestyle. And these are some of the potential consequences of that, especially right now with the way that they're, giving out time, as they call it in the Illinois prison system. We say they give out football numbers, meaning that, if you watch a football game, those games could end up 35 to 43. So meaning that's a lot of time. And so when they're out there living this lifestyle that right now appears to be attractive, it's appealing, especially because it's on the videos. They're hearing it on the radio station and all of this type of stuff. We see it in social media all the time. What they are doing is, and here's a phrase they used to use, they're throwing rocks at the penitentiary. And when you get in that courtroom, they give you all of that time, then this is what you are possibly facing. And you and I both know that a lot of people don't have the mental fortitude to be able to deal with those conditions in there. We see them self-harm and all sorts of things to themselves, and they don't make it out. But then even if you are fortunate to make it out after all of the things that you have to experience, that you're subjected to, health, right? Some people don't make it for health reasons. If they don't get hurt by the officers there or by another inmate, you just might not make it, right? Because it's not the most healthy place for you to be. And so if you do finally make it past all of those things, where you're able to have your mental faculties intact, you physically, you're all right, right? Here's a situation where this man served 44 years, and now people are looking at him and saying, well, you're a convict and you're too old, right? And so this is just something this is something for people to think about, though. We want our brother. You have done wonderful things. You've accomplished all of this, and you are, you volunteering your services because you're doing this for free, and you should actually be, compensated for the work that you're doing. But the situation as it stands right now is that you're being punished like triple times now because you already paid your debt. you know, and I'm going to bring on Brother Freeman and Dr. Evans in a moment, but I want to just say this. When they give that much time out to us, and believe me, I know, because when I began, even I had a 45-year sentence. I wasn't supposed to get out till 2042. Their plan is to break us, break our spirit, but then also when they give you that much time, they don't expect you to make it out. They don't expect us to make it through all that time.
Oh, definitely not, because when I got sentenced, the prosecutor asked the judge to sentence me to 500 to 1,000 years. He said because he wanted my sentence to reflect to the parole board that I never be released from the plantation. But the judge took the position he wasn't going to send me to no 1,000 years. He going to give me 90, that I couldn't do neither one of them. You know, that was the position. That's what he said.
Right. And see, that's what they don't expect us to do all of that. They don't expect us to make it. But not only have you made it out, right? You faced the difficulties that you had to face since you've come home with rejection and so forth. But tell them what you just did at college.
Well, since I got a 4th degree, I graduated May 1st of this year from Kennedy King College with an associate applied science degree in HVAC, heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration. And I graduated with honor. So what I'm planning on doing, if I can find the finance to start my own HVAC business, you know, I need some tools. I got some tools, but the stuff I really need, I don't have because I can't afford it. You know, like scales and recovery machines and stuff like that. So I'm trying to see if I can get the wheel grant, the $5,000 grant. And if I can, could I use it to buy the tools I need to start, you know, so I can start my business, you know. But since I've been home, I got a 4th college degree, and I lead by example when I say that the students I'm teaching, I point to what I'm doing and to inspire and motivate them to reach the goal to get their high school diploma, and then I encourage them instead of going to school, wasting your time, getting an associate degree in counseling or casework, take up a trade, you know, because so we got a construction class too. I also teach construction and culinary arts math as well at the place, because we teach construction, culinary arts, and we got the high school program. And so I encourage them to take up a trade, because if you take that trade up when you leave here, your minimum is $20 an hour. That's the minimum make. You know, and so just like I said, it's all part of my giving back. I prepare myself to come home and give back, and so that's what I'm doing.
And what you are also teaching is you teaching them how to be self-sufficient, right?
Right.
Because these are tools that they can always use no matter what. This is not going to go away. Right. Construction, culinary arts, things like that, and then math. Math is a universal language. You could go somewhere and not even be able to speak. You could go somewhere where someone may speak Spanish, French, all these other languages, right? You guys can't even hold a conversation, but math is a universal language. So once you write that on the board, all of you are going to understand that. And that's what a lot of people don't think about when you talk about math. It doesn't matter what language you speak. You could put people from 10 different countries in the same room, and they'll be able to understand the math, what's on that board when you're talking about math. So that's very important. So I want to commend you for that. The fact that you are doing all of this, and then they're not even paying you for this. That is the atrocity, the fact that you have all of this knowledge that you're using to educate and try to liberate people, and you're not being paid for that. And you definitely need to be compensated for your work. So I'm going to bring on, I'm going to allow Dr. Evans and Brother Freeman to speak if you guys have anything that you would like to say about our special guest today.
I'm just so happy to hear this man go from 90 years, and I want the world to know, and we got to have him back on for another part 2 of this on Pick TV Network, and we got to bring him on Hello America. Your story is amazing. To have 90 years, first of all, and to come from 90 years to serve 44 years, had 90 years. That's over a lifetime, folks. He's 75 years old now. He served most of his life in prison, 44 years, and could not read. Let's stop right there. He could not read. Now, this man has 4 degrees. 4 degrees at 75 years old. I'm so proud again of you on our network. This is history for us, Pick TV Network. I want to thank again the award-winning show that we have on now, the Prison Freedom Show. That you can see that. That's why this show is the #1 show in America on our network. That's why this is the #1 show, the Pick TV Network Prison Freedom Show, is because of shows just like this, you know. And I'm so proud, man. I'm so proud. And when you come to DC, steaks on me, man. I don't know whatever you want to eat. I'm gonna feed you till you can't eat no more. I know you don't want a Chicago pizza, but you know we're gonna feed you over here. And I want brother Freeman. His man has like a Motown music studio. I've been over his house. He's also award-winning. He's worked with our music Pick TV Network music director. And but Freeman, I know you full, man. I know this your first time on hearing him, my brother on in math. He got something I can't. I don't know about those fractions and algebra and all that stuff. He got me on that one. Brother Freeman, how do you feel when you see our brother, man, come from going to prison, could not read, 90 years to 44 years, coming out, 4 degrees, and 75? How do you feel, Brother Freeman, when you hear him, man?
Well, I tell you, man, I'm intrigued as well as amazed about this. Just listening to this, man, it's inspiring. I have to tell you that, Brother Uzi. It's inspiring because I'm hearing a lot of stuff. You know, when you keep making reference.
I think the sound went out for a minute. We're going to bring him back in a second. We're going to bring him back in a second. But brother, oh
yeah,
I'm going to bring him back at his sound. Yeah. We're going to bring him back in a minute.
Yeah, he's having technical difficulties.
But to see, man, this brother, man, this is one of the greatest shows, man. You said you guys just came off of another show before you came on our show. And I was like, this gonna be hot. And I'm excited, you know, just to hear him share his story, man. It's amazing. We gotta have him back. He has to come back on to talk about what he has. It sounds like a movie, man. We got to do this into a movie format, man.
Hey, I mean, you know, I think that it is you know, stories like this, because I'm real big on documentaries, but if I do watch movies, I like them to be based on actual events and stories. So like movies, documentaries and movies like this, those were the things that actually inspired me. Story of P.D. Green.
Yeah.
Knowing about Mumia Abu-Jamal and what he was going through and what he was able to accomplish while he was still incarcerated. I could keep going on. There's so many. But these are Hurricane, you know, the movie The Hurricane. That was another one. You know, these are the stories. There was a guy, He actually was a poet named Lemon. Talking about his life, how he had gone. He hadn't discovered poetry while he was incarcerated. But my point being that these are the stories that motivated me, that kept me driven while I was incarcerated. And so just to his story could actually inspire others who are incarcerated, but then just people out here, period. You know, there are a lot of people who feel as though their circumstances are so overwhelming that they can't continue to move forward or accomplish their goals. And then here's a person who had faced all of that, right, and still pressed forward. Then that should motivate a lot of people out here who don't have the disadvantages that he began with when he went in, right? And that don't have the disadvantages that he still has right now. And he's still being productive. He's still giving back regardless after having the doors shut in his face out here in society. And he still has a positive attitude. Instead of him giving up in the face of adversity and being rejected, he said, you know what, I'm going to go get another degree. I'm going to go do, you know, and he's still dreaming and having aspirations. Without a vision, you know, the people perish. That's what they say. So he's continuing to build. He's continuing to use his imagination and to try to think of ways to be able to have an impact. So this is what it's about. And this is what we want the face of re-entry to be about. People that's returning home. We want to show this because what has happened is society has, especially with the media, you know, they take all of the things that are you know, bad or are negative, and then they put it out there. And then especially when we're talking about people who are incarcerated and formerly incarcerated, to try to spread fear, instill fear amongst people about those that have been to prison. So we want to control the narrative, and you know, I don't believe that anything happens by chance. You know, I believe that the universe moves in a certain way. And even before you and I met, Dr. Evans, I had told Professor Lee that one of the things that I eventually would like to do was be able to have more of an impact with social media and with the news and so forth, journalism, and even the entertainment industry, because then we began to be able to control and shape the narrative instead of allowing other people to do so.
Just to hear you talk, man, and you told me this was going to be a big show. The Prison Freedom Show, an award-winning show, I can't stop saying it's his #1 show on our network, with Benny and others who've been on. And this show is about inspiration and information, encouragement, motivation. I want to ask Brother E. What would the younger version tell the older version today? Because there's some young cats looking at you who gangbanging, who's out there, and mother saying, come listen to this man. They may not never listen to me. But what would the young version would tell the old version today of you? Or let's say you in the room with 100, 200, 400 young brothers, all out there doing crazy stuff. What would you tell those brothers in that room? These are teenagers doing what you did or doing worse things today. What would you tell them today in 2023?
Well, first of all, I would try to impress them that what they're doing is not a rite of passage. They laboring up under the mistaken notion and belief that all this madness, especially here in the city of Chicago, that whatever they're doing is the rite of passage, right? And that what they're really doing is devastating our community. But I would try to help them understand that most of our children here in the city that's perpetrating all this madness is uneducated. They don't know anything about our history, and somebody that got some sense is manipulating and using them to go out here and commit all these crimes and whatnot, and he get rich off their madness, you know. But I got a son, my youngest son, on the plantation, and I constantly ask him all the time, was it worth it? And he tell me, well, he thought it was worth it, but he realized now that it's not, that it wasn't worth it. And so I would try to impress upon our children that it's not worth going on the plantation and being warehouse, not having anything to do academically or vocationally, and that and a lot of them ain't equipped, this equipment to deal with the dehumanizing process they're gonna face on the plantation. So a lot of them gonna come out. Broken men, if they come out at all. So but I'm old school too.
But you're not an old fool, man. You're old school. I'm old school too, but you're not an old fool. I want to bring Brother Freeman, and your audio is crazy for a minute. Brother Freeman, before we close out the show tonight, man, you were talking. Can your audio, are you good now?
Yeah, I can hear you guys now.
Very good, man. I wanted to ask you, what do you feel when you see our brother, man, who could not read, had 90 years, served 44 years, and now 75 years old with 4 degrees in Chicago, man. You can pick up probably middle ways when you were very free. Go ahead, man.
Yes, sir. Because I don't know how much you heard, but as I was saying, you know, I just see a blessed brother, a brother that has been on a spiritual journey. I mean, God has his ways of dealing with each and every one of us and bringing us to the place where he wants us to be, so he can really use us as we use him. And, you know, knowing that, I can hear all the things that the brother was talking about, even particular words, as Brother Ed Edwards said something about etymologics. When you talk about plantation, the word plantation, that goes all the way back. And when we use that now in modern history, you know, we make reference to jail or prison. And prison starts in your mind, you know, and that's why this show is so important, because once we free our minds, we're moving towards freedom. Freedom in itself is the ability to realize that God is really in control, and he's taking us to the places where he wants us to be. And it doesn't matter about the obstacles and all of the opposition that we're going to get, because that's ordinary from Satan or whatever you want to call that spirit. But I'm just encouraging the brother Uzi, and I don't think he needs much encouragement, because on his journey, from what I've heard, you know, God has already shown him what he has to do, and he's continually doing it. So I'm just fascinated by this type of conversation. I'm a blessed man to be a part of this today. And I just have to say, you know, keep on moving, brother. Congratulations, man, on your 4th degree. You know, congratulations, Dr.
Thank you, my brother,
for moving this brother forward, and having Brother Edwards, you know, commentating and bringing on these kind of things. And now I'm really, really interested in this particular programming and ministry, because the brother Uzi, you've got a ministry that's ahead of you. We ain't worried about what society calls monetary compensation, because the compensation that you're going to receive is so much more spiritual, and you already have it, because you know within yourself that, you know, God has been moving, man. And he's allowing you to get these degrees and add this stuff up, man. You know, it's exciting, man. I don't know what else to say.
Man, I'm excited. You know, I want to help Brother Uzi to get those whatever he needs. You know, that we can help him to achieve whatever he needs to get what he was talking about. We got some connections here in Washington, D.C. We're going to show this over and over and send this clip to some people too. Before we close out today, Brother O, you did it again, man. I mean, one of the greatest shows we ever had, man. I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be great. This was a great show, man. And I want to thank you. Called me about 3 hours ago, say I got a show tonight.
Yeah. I just felt like, the Spirit was moving me in this direction. I was thinking about the holiday season, right? And I had seen some things on social media, people that were posting, and I had already, like I said, I'm not a religious person, but I'm a spiritual person. I truly believe that there is an energy, that there's a force that exists out there, or everywhere, not even out there, period, that is ubiquitous. And so I was having just thoughts about just the fact of being just appreciative. And I had kind of like a what's the word that they kind of like use in Buddhism? Anyway, I was in the present moment, right? And so I was just thinking about being appreciative of the things that I had and being in the present moment right now. Not thinking about things that I didn't have or things like that, but just the things that I had right now, yesterday. And so then I had seen a post when people were talking about basically they didn't feel the holiday cheer and things like that. And a lot of people get caught up in that because of the commercialization of what the holiday is supposed to be about. And they have all this imagery and all this, and it's nice to be happy and be full of cheer, but the true, essence of these type of days, these moments, is to just be appreciative and have gratitude for the things that are, and not looking at the things that are not. And so it's so easy for us to compare ourselves to what other people seem to have, right? Because we'll see people smiling, having a good time and all this type of stuff, the movies and the commercials. And it's nice if you feel that way, but that shouldn't be something that validates your existence in the present, right? But just to appreciate these times that you had, the holiday season should be a time that you are able to just sit back, relax, and enjoy the people and the moments that you do have in your life, not to be sitting here thinking about what you don't have and being depressed because your life is lacking this, or it doesn't measure up to what seems to be the life of someone else, because we see that what is seen on the surface or projected on the surface isn't always what it appears to be anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's why I wanted to bring this brother out right now today, because I felt like it was pertinent to us being in this holiday season, because he is a person that's lost a lot of things. He's experienced a lot of hardships, and yet he moved forward, and then he's still giving, even in the face of rejection, of people rejecting him and not accepting and embracing him. He still chooses to give. So he is exemplary right now of what we call the holiday spirit right now.
75 years old, doing great things. I'm excited. Pick TV Network, Prison Freedom Show, folks. You're watching it. Special presentation. Scan that QR code. Get your phone. I want to thank Brother Rodney Freeman for coming on. This is my right-hand man when it comes to our music studio. We're going to bring him on the second set. Brother E, you got to come back again, man. You stole the hearts of America tonight, man. You know, you was awesome. Yeah. It's beautiful to hear your story, man. Your story is amazing. And we want to thank you for just coming on tonight. Brother O, I'm just excited, man, for just having him on. Brother Freeman, this is your first time on, man, on Prison Freedom Show with us, man. I know, man, you was lighting up like a Christmas tree, man, when he was talking, bro. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I know you're going to tell everybody about it, man. This is what we do, Prison Freedom Show. When I started this show, I asked Brother O to help me to organize this thing, and I didn't know that God would come in and bring, so many, from Benny to the Jerusalem Gangster, to our brother Eth, who's on tonight. This is something that kids can come around and watch, and they can realize, man, I don't want to do that no more. This is totally different from any other show we have on the network out of our channels. This show is for people to call me when I walk down the street, say, I like that show. People be stopping me at the mall, say, I seen the Prison Freedom Show. I'll be walking around and they say, I seen that show. So people are watching, and there's a lot of people that can identify with this show, man. But we got to do part 2, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. And I just wanted everyone to know, just be on the lookout for Prison Freedom Program and Hello America. I got a lot of people lined up, and so eventually we're going to try to get them to you, and so that you could be able to just see, to hear a lot of testimonies and see a lot of the work that people are out here doing that's positive.
Hey, don't sleep on that point. We got a poet showcase coming up too. All the poets. And you got something off the cuff to give us before we close off, right off the cuff, or you all out? You out of gas, huh? Yeah,
I got one. I'll say an old one. And it's entitled Blood and Ink. I want the ink that drips from my pen to be like blood, the blood of a martyr. For martyrs spark revolution. Revolution means change. I want to help change the perception of the millions of my brethren in chains. Show the world the humanity existing within us all. If I could write the story of my life in blood, I'd write it in an old forgotten tongue like Aramaic, not on papyrus, but on blue lines of white loose leaf sheets. All the words past the margins. All the words past the margins. All the words past the margins. To emblemize the boundlessness of the life force vibrating at the very core of the cosmos, emanating in our hearts as the fiery spark, impelling us toward the attainment of spiritual truth and liberty, actualized in space-time when the mind becomes a participant with the divine in the creative act. For there is life in the word, like there is life in the blood. For the blood speaks volumes. Yes, the blood speaks volumes. Like Abel's, who was wrongfully slain by his brother Cain, that shook the throne in heaven from the ground and cried so aloud in pain. And I want the words that's transcribed from the very ink of my pen to do the same. I want the ink that drips from my pen to be like blood, the blood of a martyr. For martyrs spark revolution. Revolution means change. And Lord knows that change is what these brothers need, locked up behind these walls, shackled up by these chains.
There he is, y'all. We'll see you next time on the Prison Freedom Show from Washington, D.C. all the way to Chicago. Shalom.
We've all been hurt at some point, even abandoned. Many of us have done the hurting ourselves. We get to the point where we don't trust anyone, nor do we feel worthy of being loved by anyone. Then there's that one person who just doesn't give up on loving you. Their love is unconditional. Their love stays long enough for you to heal. And then they promise to never leave. That's love you can count on. God's love. Count on me. Don't be worried. Cast all your troubles away. Wherever you're going, just know that I'll be there. Count on me. Put on your smile. No need to frown, 'cause I'm here. Just look to me, and it will be alright. Just take a breath and look around, 'cause I have never ever let you down. My love for you will never fail. I'll be here forever. Count on me. Put on your smile. No need to frown, 'cause I'm here. Just look to me, and it will be alright. Alright. Just take a breath. And look around. I have never ever let you down. My love for you will never fail. I'll be here forever. You can count on me. But you can count on me. I know you're worried, you're afraid, but trust me, you can count on me. Said I'll always be there, I'll never leave you. I know the others have failed, but I will be right there for you. Just take a breath and look around. I'll never let you down. And I never will. You can count on me. You can count on me. I said I'll never let you down. People come and they go, I'll never but I'll be. You can count on me.
Everybody, you made it to another show, the end of another show on the Pick TV network. Listen, Happy New Year. 2023 is your year to be on Pick TV. Yet 2023 is Pick TV Network time to reach you, and you, especially you, to bring you on our network. We got some brand new shows, brand new programs, and we can't wait for you to be a part of what we're doing on Pick TV. This is your Michael Jordan year. Let's get your banners up. Yeah, on Pick TV. Pick TV is the place to be in 2023. Don't forget, if you want to support our programs and shows, all you have to do is text to PIC, that's PIC TV 54244. There you go, 54244. Pick TV, text us. We'll get back with you. You see how you can come on our shows and programs. We're so excited for all of you. And don't forget, those who've been watching right now, scan that QR code. Get your phone. Yeah, the QR code. Boom. There it is. Right there for you. Put it up there. Brother O from Chicago got some brand new shows, brand new people coming on. Prison Freedom Show, Hello America, and the hottest thing that's going to happen on Pick TV Network, The Poet Showcase. I'm telling you, Brother O, we got to go, man. But that Poet Showcase is going to be, it's going to shut down the world, man. When you have those poets on here, bro, I think they're going to be lined up to come on, too.
Yeah. Hey, man, we got some nice poets, man. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Don't forget to keep watching our shows on Pick TV Network. Hey, and we got some comments popping in, people coming in from comments. Thank you for coming in. God bless you until we meet again. Keep watching the Pick TV Network. Out for now. See you later.